Hey everybody, so today's review is the latest episode of Once Upon a Time, episode 10, I believe, and it's titled The Eighth Witch. This is the return of Zelena, who is actually my third favorite character on the show. This episode was okay. There was a lot going on that's very confusing. There's this whole thing with the 8 witches, which kind of is kind of random. I've never heard of something like that before. I feel like, they gave Zelena a coin to recruit her in the episode, which kind of didn't make sense because if they wanted Zelena the whole time, why didn't she have it a lot earlier? Why wasn't this something? No, I feel like that's something that would have been known earlier about this 8 witches prophecy thingy going on. It looks like Anastasia is gonna be the guardian, possibly, which I feel like doesn't make any sense. I don't know how her and Drusilla have so much magic. Usually it's, if you're born with magic, it's because you were the product of true love in some way, although they didn't explain how like Elsa and Ingrid had magic because they were born with it too, so I'm not sure. I kind of was hoping that the guardian would have been Emma and Hook's child. I kind of explained this a little bit in my other video, but it's a product of true love times 2 because Emma's a product of true love. She's having her own little product of true love with her true love type of thing. So I thought their child would be like extra special. I guess we'll never know because I find it really weird that nobody in Storybrooke is aware of what's going on. There's a curse, they're being attacked by Drusilla and Gothel, and Henry's been poisoned, and it's like, why have they not contacted Emma and Snow and Charming? I think it's really odd that they're not involved. They wouldn't just sit by and be like, oh, nothing's happening. Like, why wouldn't Henry call his, when Lucy was born, they weren't there. Wouldn't they be there? I know I would if I was someone's mother. I would want to be there for my grandchild's birth. I find it odd that Emma wasn't there, that Killian wasn't there, Charming and Snow weren't there, and that's their their great-grandchild. It's really weird to go on with this season. Jennifer Goodwin and Josh Giles have expressed that they were interested in doing some guest appearances, so that's not the case. And Jennifer Morrison, in some con panels recently, has expressed interest in doing, people keep asking her for a Captain Swan movie, so I feel like if she's interested in that, she'd be interested in doing a little more with the show. I know that they agreed to 1 episode. I find it really odd that it was only 1 episode for some of these characters, because Rebecca Mader's coming back for more, so I'm not sure what happened behind the scenes with the negotiations, because with the actors, they're saying they were willing to do this. Is that not good enough or something? Because I feel like it's really hard this season without these characters, especially when you have Henry. He only has 1 member of his family there, and the rest are in the storybook, or not 2 because he has his Aunt Selena, but you get what I'm saying, right? It's weird. It feels very the family feels incomplete to me, and it feels odd that they're going through all these dangerous situations when half the family is sitting at home not knowing what's going on, and it's very out of character for them to just sit by and not do anything and not wonder how Henry's doing and if he's okay, or anything like that, or even have any knowledge of Lucy. They weren't at Lucy's birthday. It's all really weird, and I find it, I feel like this season, to me, isn't my favorite personally. I think it's one of the worst, because they're missing so many people from the original. I feel like if they wanted to do Henry's story, they should have done it without like Regina and Hook, you know, being in Rumple as well. Those three. I know it's not really the same Hook that's his stepfather, but it's not working to me without, like, it should be the original Hook. It should be Killian Jones that's there, that's his stepfather. It should both his mothers, Emma and Regina. It should be all his grandparents, Rumple, Snow and Charming. They all should be there. His grandmother Belle, who does he even know Belle died? Henry? Like, does Henry know Belle died? I know Regina knows, but does Henry know? Because remember he kind of joking, you know, there's that one episode where Henry walks into the shop and he goes, "Hey, Grandma," and Belle's like, "You can just call me Belle." I feel like she, you know, level up and let him call her Grandma, I think. You know, does he know that his uncle is all grown up? I mean, where's Gideon in all this, too? It's like, where's his uncles, Neil and Gideon? And this is all, like, I just don't understand how, like, almost half the family is gone. Actually, there's only 2 members, technically, Regina and Rumble, that are involved, because that Hook isn't really his stepdad. So it's like, what? And, like I said, I kind of figured, speaking of the 8th, going back to the 8th witch thing, I kind of figured Drusilla was being tricked by Gothel, just because you know, Gothel, why the interest in Anastasia if they needed, you know what I mean, like, what, you know, she had Drusilla, like, so I figured, you know, Gothel needs something. And then the whole thing, in the last episode where she was testing Rapunzel, like, I figured it had something to do with the Guardian, and there's something Gothel wants, and Drusilla and Anastasia are the key to getting that, and so she kind of tricked them. So I figured that's what although, she mentioned sisters, so I feel like she's kind of like a villain, like Ingrid in a way, I have a feeling, which we've already kind of seen that before, you know, with the Snow Queen. She wanted sisters, and so she was trying to make Elsa and Emma her sisters. Emily, so Gothel, I guess, is doing the same thing in a way, it sounds like. Like, yeah, I've seen there, been there, done that. And of course, in this episode, we learned that Regina's the one that cast the curse. Like, really? I'm kind of tired of the curse, you know, the dark curse. We've seen it, like, how many times Regina cast it the first time? Snow and Charming, Pan did, Peter Pan did, Hook did. That's 4 times right there. And then the Black Fairy in season 6. That's 5. This is the 6th time there's been a curse, the dark curse. That's kind of ridiculous to me. But I know they made a big deal about it being Giselle that casted the curse, and it ended up being Regina. It's like, really? What was the purpose of making it all about Drusilla being the one that casted the curse when it really was just Regina the whole time? Okay, whatever. The next one, let's talk about Zelena's return. Zelena, like, she didn't really do much in this episode. We find out she somehow has her magic back. I don't know how that happened. I guess it had to happen. I feel like Zelena probably wouldn't last long without magic, so she would have found a way to get it back. But, you know, I do wonder, she has a farm now, which I think is weird, and is living in that enchanted forest. So somehow her and Robin came to that enchanted forest to live there, maybe because Henry